we'll start off with the early days. How did you originally get into music?
I was 8 years old when the Beatles were on TV on the Ed Sullivan Show. It's a variety show in America, which is the biggest variety show ever in the United States. So I'm playing with my army toys and my tanks, my helicopters and my battleships, models, blowing them up with firecrackers and everything. And that's why I made them, so I could blow them up. And my mother said, "Oh, come into the bedroom." She didn't want the TV in the living room. She wanted me not to continually watch TV. So the Beatles were on the Ed Sullivan Show, and I said, that's what I want to do, is play the drums. I'm a very hyper person, and in school I didn't have the ability to pay attention that often. So I would bang on things, and I wasn't a good student because of that, but when it came down to it, I did graduate. And then I said, well, I'm going to play the drums for the rest of my life. And Ringo was the first influence in my life. And Dave Clark and the Dave Clark Five, when I saw them on the Ed Sullivan Show. And then I pieced together a drum set that I managed to do because I used to deliver things from the store to drugs, prescription drugs, to old people who needed their medication. And my family was friends with who went to the drugstore, and I was a responsible child. And that's how I put together the drum set. First there was the snare drum, then the other drums, and I would play along to the songs in my little mono player, Victrola they would call it, and I would play to the Beatles hits, the hits of the days, Dave Clark Five, the Stones, the Who, and that's how it started.
So are you pretty much self-taught with the
Oh
drums?
yeah. I didn't have the patience to be told how to play by a teacher because I had enough of the teachers. I wanted to just listen to my influences and just eventually get into my own style of playing. That's what usually happens.
It must have been really exciting to be involved with some of the pioneer bands of the U.S. New Wave punk movement, particularly bands such as Richard Hell and the Boydoids and Wayne County and the Backstreet Boys.
Oh, yeah.
How can you sum up those heady days in New York City?
Well, we needed a place to play. New York was very downtrodden at the time, and the only place to hang out was Max's Kansas City, which already was going down in its popularity. But I'd be there. Johnny Thunders, my dear friend who parted, who left the planet. Jerry Nolan from the Dolls, and Dee Dee Ramone, and Debbie Harry, and people like that. And then everybody started going out to CBGB's. We needed a venue. Richard Hell and Tom Verlaine were the ones who discovered it. And walked in, and Hilly said, "Yeah, you guys can play here," and that was it. That's how it started. And it's Patti Smith. Then it was Blondie. Then the Ramones, Talking Heads, and all these groups. And that's how it all started. And it was in an area where there wouldn't be any complaints, because nobody wanted to live near there. There were people out in the street who were homeless, and people were robbing each other. There was, the city had no money. Washington told us to go fuck ourselves because for some reason they didn't want to send us any support financially. So we were lucky to have had CBGB's as our main base, which started around late 73, early 74, around there. It's a lot of fun.
I bet it was brilliant. There has been so much written about the Ramones over the years, especially about the clash of personalities within the band.
Oh yeah.
Who really was the driving force behind the Ramones?
Well, we all were. The Ramones were a band. There was no individual that was more important. I don't like to use the word important, but who was let's say, the sergeant major of the band. Dee Dee and Joey were the main songwriters. John was the guy who was basically the normal one, and me and Dee Dee were the partiers. We were the ones who were the closest of friends when I joined the band. They didn't like Tommy. They picked on him, and I loved Tommy. And he decided to leave because of that reason, and he wanted to produce. He was sick and tired of getting picked on. He didn't like touring. So Joey was a very introverted, histrionic singer, but the histrionics showed when he went on stage. That's when he became the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And Dee Dee was a whirlwind hurricane that was unstoppable. And unfortunately, he was into heroin at the time and all the other stuff. I was into drinking. And John had to put up with all these eccentricities, I would say. And luckily he was there, but he was limited. He could only play rhythm guitar. He couldn't play lead guitar. So when we did albums, we would have other guitar players on the albums, such as Walter Lowe from the Heartbreakers. We would have Ed Stacy, producer, who produced Road to Ruin on guitar. We would have the guy from 10cc play guitar on Pleasant Dreams. So there was some limitation with John with that, because a lot of people want to hear what's recorded on the album a lot of the times. But we basically chose to have him be like the guy who kept things in control, which was a function because of his lack of writing abilities. I mean, if you don't have the writers, you have nothing. Mm-hmm. So Dee Dee was basically the main songwriter, and Joey was the second songwriter. And the animosities amongst Johnny and Joey never stopped until the end. It was over petty things, girl. There's a lot of girls, but over a course from 1980-81 all the way to the end 1996, which is 16 years, the animosities didn't stop, and I could see why that my drinking problem escalated, and that Dee Dee got fed up and sick and tired of it, and he continued to indulge more in the drug usage. So when I joined the band, I thought it would be one big happy family, and it wasn't. But we never let it affect our live show or any of our recordings on record. So that was the most important thing, because we really considered the fact that the fans were there to see us, and they were the ones that mattered. And we left all that stuff off the stage. And I was the only Ramone to visit Joey in the hospital when he had cancer. And Johnny Ramone's remarks were, "Why should I visit somebody if I don't like them?" Which I thought was a little cruel. And that's really how it was, I mean, you let go of the petty things like that later on, When somebody's dying, you just got to let it go, So that's what happened, and he didn't let it go. And I always, felt that it was a shame that they didn't make up at the end. And I would always tell John, listen, make up with the guy. He's in his deathbed. No, I don't like the guy. What do I care? So I felt that that was very very sad. And anyway, then the next person to go was John, who succumbed to cancer, and he passed away. And I still didn't get over Joey passing away. Then it was Dee Dee Ramone, who put a needle in his arm, and I always said to him, if you're ever going to do something like that, call me first, so we can talk and maybe go to an NA meeting, which means Narcotics Anonymous. And I took Joey to a lot of AA meetings, because I was sober for years already. I didn't when I got back into the band, I was really clean. But they were still indulging in the drugs, and Joey was drinking and doing cocaine, and I thought that I could help them out. to no avail, didn't work, and that's what happened. And I think the animosities between John and Joey is the things that killed them. All that pent up anxiety, you know. But Dee Dee was clean for 7 years, and he smoked pot, to me, which is okay. I mean, you know, these days and times, that's 60s, you know, the bad vibe about it has slacked off a lot, you know. And then all of a sudden he decided one day to do heroin, and either it was too good or it was too much. And when you're clean from any kind of drug like that for 7 years and you do it, the quality might have been too good, and he just passed away because of that. And to me, I don't think it was a suicide. I think it was the fact that times changed in those 7 years and the quality got a lot better. So
Such a waste.
yeah, it was a great band, and they had a lot to offer. I don't think that they were around long enough to enjoy the fruits of their labor, and that's why I keep the legacy alive.
Yeah.
Because as a new generation, I'm doing it the right way, and I've been doing it for the last 14 years, and I am one of the Ramones that is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and the Lifetime Achievement Award winner. So who else can do it? Tommy's playing banjo, and his wife's playing guitar, and they're in a bluegrass band. Which more power to him, you know?
It's Uncle Monk.
Yeah, Uncle Monk, and he's another Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. He deserves it, and he deserves to do what he wants. And if he can amass a following, more power to him. You know.
Yes. With the deaths of all your bandmates relatively close together, I mean, how did that make you feel about? Did it make you stop and think about your own mortality?
Well, I was superstitious at one point. I told the merchandise companies keep my name away from their names on the merchandise, because I didn't want to be part of that, because I thought, oh, maybe I'm next, you know what I mean? Maybe there's some kind of evil spirit lurking around going after the Ramones, you know? So, you know, I didn't get over Joey's death, then it was Johnny's death, then Dee Dee's death. Of course it had an effect. And what was strange, it was maybe only 2 people who came up to me ever and said, you know, sorry of your bandmates and friends' loss. You know, so, you know, of course when somebody dies that's close to you, you feel it. And especially when you're in a band touring for 15 years with those particular people, you're not going to forget them. You think of the good times, you think of the fun, and that's what I do.